Hello YouTube, this is Captain Nav. I hope you are all doing well. Today we are going to have a look at how we can fly an ILS approach on the PMDG 777. So just to give you some information, we are in the New York area, about 5 miles northeast of waypoint Rubber, on the Rubber 1 arrival into Kennedy Airport, and we are maintaining 230 knots and 9,000 feet at this stage. So we'll first have a look at the ILS chart for New York John F. Kennedy Airport, ILS 31 right. The frequency is 111.5, India Romeo Tango Hotel is the island. Minimums 220 feet, and basically we start the approach at 3,000 feet down a 3-degree glide slope all the way to the runway. In case of a missed approach, straight ahead to 1,800 feet, then a left turn to Canarsie, climbing 2,000 feet and then 4,000 feet to Colts Neck. So we are now back in the simulator, as I said, maintaining 9,000 feet, 230 knots. And the first thing we're going to do is set up the approach itself. So we go into a departure arrival, next page, select ILS 31 right, and as I said, we are flying the Rubber 1 arrival, so we'll select that. Ken Bank transition, and here we are. We don't select the cathode transition, so we'll execute this, and that's all good now. Next we go to the legs page, and as I said, we're flying to JFK, so we've got that at the top. Then we've got discontinuity and we've got the all arrival. So because we're just approaching Rubber, we'll select Rubber and put it at the top of legs page and execute. Because we expect radar vectors after Rubber, we'll certainly not fly to a JFK VOR. We'll take waypoint Malde and set it after Rubber, so that the sequence makes sense and it kind of gives us a wide base leg. After that, what we can do, we've got 240 knots at Malde. We can reduce the speed, set 170 knots for example, and with the slash set it and execute. Then Zulab has a good speed, and 1900 feet is correct, runway 31 right. 1800 feet, the altitude at which we'd start the turn for the missed approach to Canarsie, and we'll modify the altitude there, set 2000 feet as a hard altitude, and then set also 4000 feet as a hard altitude at Colts Neck, and hold at Colts Neck. So the whole sequence in the FMC is correct for the ILS approach 31 right. Then we'll set the VRF, so we look at the zero fuel weight, 220 tons, plus predicted landing fuel of 18.3. That gives us a gross weight of 238.3 on landing, which will give us a VRF 30 of 146. If you want to double check that the ILS is set properly, then you can go to a NavRad page and you'll see the frequency and the course there. Now the last thing we have to do is set the minimums on the PFD. So we'll just adjust the knob there and set the minimums at 220 feet for the ILS 31 right. And we are all set now. So we are flying to Rubber. Rubber is executed, so we'll go LNAV, and we're now navigating to Rubber. So as you can see, it's fairly simple. We'll set the VRF, the minimums, we've got QNH of 29902, and we set the FMC and did a few corrections there to make sure that the waypoint sequence is correct. And that's all there is to it. There is no frequency to set, no courses to set. Everything is done automatically by the FMC. So it's a little bit better obviously than for example the 737 where you have to do all these things manually. Just approaching rubber now, 9,000 feet as per the altitude restriction on the arrival. And from rubber, we'll assume we've got radar vectors from ATC. So we'll leave rubber on a heading of 265. So we'll go for heading select, and then start the descent to altitude 3,000 feet. So we'll set 3,000 feet in the MCP altitude window, and engage flight level change. We have thrust flight level change speed in the FME. If you look at the altitude deviation indicator in the bottom right corner of the navigation display, you can see the number is increasing, so this means that we are getting high on the approach. So we're gonna have to do something about it. Initially, of course, as you can see, the rate of descent is increasing, so we'll see if we're still getting high. If we are getting high, then we'll have to do something about it, and possibly use speed brakes to increase the rate of descent. Just gonna increase the range on the navigation display, and you'll see the green arc setting on Mulday. That means that the computer is estimating reaching 3,000 feet by Mulday if we continue with this rate of descent. So in a sense it wouldn't be too bad, but we're still at 230 knots. We need to slow down. When we slow down, we need to reduce the rate of descent, so this means that we are too high at this stage. So we're gonna have now to use a bit of speed brakes and increase our rate of descent. At this stage we can also see that we have the ILS ident India Romeo Tango Hotel on the PFD, so that's all good. And using speed brakes now, you can see the green arc is getting closer to the aircraft, and the rate of descent is increasing, so that's all good. So we are now slowly catching up with the vertical profile. You can see the altitude deviation number on the navigation display is decreasing, so that's all fairly good. And we are giving ourselves about 5 miles between the predicted altitude given by the green arc and Monday, so that will give us a bit of time to decelerate the aircraft and still remain slightly below the profile, so that we can manage continuous descent approach. Continuous descent approaches are a nice thing to do. Basically, from either top of descent or from an intermediate altitude, you never level off, you keep descending all the way to the runway, as I said, without reverting to level flight. So it's a fairly efficient way to operate the aircraft, and also increases passenger comfort, I guess, and save a bit for the environment. So that's all beneficial. So we are on that heading of 265, and we're gonna give ourselves a course intercept. We go to departure arrival, Molde intercept, make sure that everything is correct. The course there 313 isn't, so we go 314, set it, and now we can execute. So you can see the magenta line is depicting the center line of runway 31 right. So we are now gonna start decelerating the aircraft. Just selected flap 1 and set 206 knots in the speed window. So as you can see, the aircraft is almost leveling off. As I said earlier on, when you decelerate the aircraft, basically the nose comes up and the rate of descent decreases. Then as the speed is coming back, the rate of descent will increase as the aircraft lowers the nose again. Further flaps, flaps 5, and further speed reduction to about 190 knots. So same thing, the rate of descent again slightly decreases as the nose of the aircraft comes up slightly, and then same principle as the speed comes back to the desired speed, then the nose comes back down. So it's fairly good. We are fairly close to intercept the localizer now. So ATC clears us to turn right and descend to 2000 feet. So set 2000 feet first, and then turn to the right. Just wait a little bit. I don't want to give myself too much of an intercept. So we'll go for a heading now of 285. That's all good. Come back on the speed. 170 knots now. 171, that will do. And arm the approach mode armed, localizer and glide slope armed. You can see the localizer is alive and the glide slope is alive. So we're just below the glide slope. The localizer is captured and the glide slope is almost captured as well, but just a little bit below the glide slope. So to stop the rate of descent, we're going to use now a vertical speed and set it at a reasonable rate of about 500 feet per minute. And at that stage we are slowly gonna catch up on the glide slope from below and capture the glide slope that way. We can see the airport in the background. We have almost intercepted the glide slope, and with this rate of descent of about 500 feet per minute, we'll intercept the glide slope fairly soon. So overall we'll have managed the continuous descent approach. If at some point it levels off with flight level change and the speed comes back, then this doesn't really matter. So glide slope capture and 2000 feet missed approach altitude is set. About 7 miles, gear down, flap 20, arm the speed brake, display the landing checklist. Just 170 knots. Then we'll go for flap 30, maintain 160 to 4. It's the outer marker. You can see a bit of Manhattan in the background. Approaching 4 miles, so we'll have 160 knots to 4 miles anyway, so we can bring the speed back to final approach speed 151. Land 3 roll-out armed, landing checklist complete. Close the checklist. The aircraft is now in a good position. It's on the localizer, on the glide slope, on the approach speed. Thrust is adequate, so we are stabilized at 1000 feet, and we can continue the approach. 1000. So at this stage all we are trying to do is make sure that all the stabilization parameters remain intact, and we fly nicely to the runway for a good landing.
Approaching 3-1 right.
So we can disconnect the autopilot now anytime. Here we are, flight director, and fly the approach manually. So today for the video there's no wind, and basically it's try to keep flying the approach with the flight director all the way to the runway. Approaching minimums.
Plus 100. Minimums.
Landing.
One 100. 50.
50
40.
feet.
30.
Start the
20.
flare.
10.
And touchdown. Reversals. And that's it. Slowing down with the reversers and the brakes. 60 knots. Stow the reversers. And finish with the braking. And we are ready to vacate. So thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and give me a thumbs up, share the videos with your friends and colleagues, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you once again for all the support on the channel. The support and the interest are continuously growing, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I'll wish you a happy holiday if I don't publish any video in the meantime. And once again, thank you very much, and I will see you soon.